Guys, welcome back to another episode of Rambling Film Crew. I hope you guys are doing good and enjoying our content. Today's episode is going to be exciting as we have with us very handsome, talented, young voice artist, theatre actor and singer, and also our fellow batchmate Sparsh Korde. Hi Sparsh, how are you doing?
Brilliant. How are you?
Excited to do this?
I am.
So let's go. Tell us about how did you get into dubbing? Tell us about your first gig and how did you get into this?
So there was never a plan for me to get into dubbing per se. I always wanted to be a singer. I was training classical back then as well. And so it's just this one day I was in my dad's studio. My dad was a director for UTV back then. And I was in the studio and I went in and did a very small character, an NC character. And after it was broadcasted and everything, Disney actually noticed my voice. So Disney told my dad and everybody there, use this guy's voice. And I had no idea what to do or what I had to do. But luckily my dad was there and he pretty much helped me through the whole thing. And yeah, that's how I pretty much started off by dubbing. And I have no idea about my first gig.
How old were you back then?
When I was there, I was 5 years old.
That's very young.
Yeah, and I had no idea what's going on. I was just there, Kale's studio mein, screen chalu hai. And my dad didn't even give me the script because I had no idea कि ये पढ़ के ऐसे बोलने का है. He was telling me the lines from the recording room. So he was telling me the lines and I was like, yeah, okay. And he was like, don't say it like this, say it like this. So he was quite literally mimicking what I had to say. I mean, it was my first day and I had no idea what to do. So that happened, and after that, with my first dubbing gig, I do not remember because I was a long time back. But I do remember the first film that I did, that I voiced in for a character called Goob, was in Meet the Robinsons. It was a Disney film. I think it was in the theatres once. And I had done that when I was 6 or 7, probably. And after that, I kind of started enjoying dubbing. I mean, it primarily started because, I started liking it because the people started telling me that this is good work. And they started appreciating me. And I was like, cool, itna appreciation nahi mil raha life mein. This is nice, let's continue. So I started with, I full-fledgedly started with dubbing. I carried on doing a couple of projects. And fortunately, Disney was really, nice enough to let me work in my dad's studio. And that carried on for quite some time. And after that I carried on doing some solid movies. And that's how I got into dubbing.
It's great you've achieved so much at such a young age. What is your approach when it comes to dubbing different types of characters?
So I'll just start with the whole audition bit. So every time someone calls me for an audition for a character, I usually look at the character in and out at the same time. There's Netflix and Disney and some other companies usually give a VTK for the characters. Now a VTK is something, so the VTK is what the character is, who the character is, the past, the present, the characteristics. And it covers up 90% of what the character is always. And after that, I directly go to the audition clip. So the audition clip is usually 6 to 7 minutes long. That's the maximum. And I roll the whole audition clip in front of me first. I see what the character is like. I see how the actor has performed the character. And, I understand where this guy has paused, where this guy has made a mark, where this whole audition clip, where he's emotionally strong and everything. So I go through the script. I also read the script once, the translations, and then I just directly get to the performance. And whenever it gets approved, after that thing, I usually do the full film. If it's a film, I do the whole film. And I go back to the first 4-5 pages again. And I redo the whole thing. I redo the first 4-5 pages again. Because I think, no matter how big the voice artist is also, I think the first 4 to 5 pages are never apt or, perfectly fitting the character. That's always happened with me. And I still do it.
After the first 4 or 5, you get into the character.
After the first four, five pages, I would say the seventh or eighth page, I'm completely in the character. Because if, take for example, if it's a gangster that I'm dubbing, then I usually stand and dub series or movies that I do. So if it's a gangster and the gangster has a certain walk, and if the gangster is standing a certain way, then even I would stand a certain way in the studio. I would try to get into the mind of the character. And I think by doing that, it only enhances the performance even more. When it comes to the complete final product as well, it looks very good. And yeah, I think that is definitely what my approach is to the character. I also go to the director. Initially, if it's an audition, I also ask the director, how is the character? Just that, these simple lines. And if the director is a good director, they will give me a good briefing about the character, and that will be plenty for me. And then I continue with the rest of the pattern.
That's insightful. Let's move on to the next question. Now tell me about your biggest gig ever. Like, do you have any memories to share about it?
Yes, I would say my recent biggest gig would be Eternals. And
Let me stop you and congratulate you.
oh, thank you.
That is pretty big.
Thank you. And memories, so I went in for the audition, and I think there were about 25 to 30 guys who auditioned for the character Jewig that I did. And I had not had breakfast, I was a little late, so I was rushing, and I had to be there on time. I did not even know कि ये Marvel का कुछ है. I was just there, they had called me in. And I was there, sitting, and everybody was coming out, and the director was happy with their performance and everything. And this was the first time I was working with this director. His name is Samir Sheikh. And I was like, cool, let's see, kya hai character. Went in, read the VTK, saw the whole clip, talked with the director. And there were some scenes in the audition which were a little emotionally strong, I would say. So, and I had to be a little loud. I had to shout a little. And I hadn't eaten, I wasn't feeling well. So my audition was really bad. It was one of the worst auditions I had given in my dubbing career, I would say. But it got approved.
That worked out.
Yeah, that worked out. It got approved, and I would say after the whole audition was done, even the director was like, yeah, I mean, from your performance, I understood that, she knows that I can do better than what I had. But he was like, now chuck it. Anyway, we'll call you in next time. Whatever comes up, you'll be fine. Just eat and come. I told him that I didn't eat. And so that happened, and after that I got approved for the whole game. And funny thing is, like a day before, 2 days before, he texts me on WhatsApp, I need your time from 11 o'clock to 4 o'clock. And I understood that it must be like some urgent work and I have to finish it fatafat. It usually happens. And then I'm there, and I got to know that this has got approved, but I had no idea what is it. It's a Marvel movie. I thought it's something. I thought it's a Amazon Prime series or something. I had no idea. And I was there. I'm sitting, and then I sit down and the director's having chai, and I was like, "तो अपना क्या है ये? अपना series है क्या? क्या करने का अपने को?" He was like, "तू पागल है क्या? Marvel का बड़ा picture है. Eternals, people are waiting for it." And I was like, I had no idea. And I think कि वो सुनने के बाद थोड़ा सा stress आया मेरे को. उसके बाद पहले कुछ stress नहीं था. But like again, I went into the recording room, and no stress was happening, because when you like look into the character, get into the character, then you don't need to worry about anything. Then the performance just comes. So from the whole bit, the memories would be, so this director is pretty famous in the industry, and I would say he's a perfectionist, like some of the good directors from our industry. And I was very, very happy with what he was getting me to do. There were some bits where he was telling me, you should feel like you're a king's son. And that's how the guy said the line. And even I usually have to imagine a scenario. That's how I take direction. Like if the director tells me to get more angry, I will just get loud. I have to, it's a acting technique that I learned in acting school. You have to imagine and believe what you have imagined. And after that, the performance, the truthfulness of the performance comes out. That's how it works. And after doing that, it was coming, it was showing its colors to the character and everything. And I was happy with my performance, with what I had done. And I was also happy with the fact that I did a Marvel movie for the first time in my life. This was the first time I ever worked with Marvel. I don't think I worked with Marvel before that, and I landed up with a movie. So I was really happy about that. And even after the whole movie was done and everything, I got to know that Disney has bought Marvel apparently. So Disney was again really happy with what I had done, and they were like, "Your voice is stuck to the character, and we can't wait for the movies to come out, the big movies or whatever if they ever get them out." So I was like really happy with that. I think those were the memories that I would say stuck with me.
That's really great, and we're really happy for you that this
Right.
happened to you. Now let us talk about dubbing as a profession.
Yes.
Like as you said that you started young. So now what is it that kept you going? What is it that excites you about this character, like this profession?
So let me explain what dubbing is, like the profession is. You have to have good speech. You have to have the understanding of emotion. You have to have. So you can't just say a line if the character has paused and said a line, like now how I paused and said a line. You can't just go on and complete a line without any pauses like this. You have to take a pause. There are certain technical things that you need to keep in mind, like the pauses, where the character's pitch is going up, what the character is feeling. Are you outdoors? Are you indoors with the character? Is it a close-up shot? Is it a long shot? You know, you have to keep certain things in mind about that. And what was the follow-up question after that one?
What excites you? Like what kept you going even after starting the career?
What excited me? So I started young, of course. And uske baad wo karte karte, I think when people started appreciating me, when people started calling me for work, you know, like this one time I also had gone in for what was it? A channel voice audition. So a channel voice audition is you are the voice of the channel for the advertisements or whatever that comes through. And I had gone for Hangama. And I was 13 or 14 years old. And I gave the audition, they had me do some Shinchan and Doraemon advertisements or whatever. And after that thing was done, I got approved. And more than me, my dad was happy. And I was like, cool, if this is making my dad happy, and even I'm happy. You know, let's genuinely continue this, like, as a profession. And later I understood the business of dubbing, how it works. Because that time I was just working, I would say. I wasn't focusing on the money part or anything like that. My dad was managing everything when it came to that. So later even I understood that it's about the pages. It's sometimes about how famous the character is or how famous the actor is. If it's a series, what the payments are. If it's a movie, what the payment is. Things like that. So I think when I was 14 or 15, I took it seriously as a profession. Before that, I was just doing it because I was liking the journey or whatever.
So you're basically going with the flow and learning side by side.
Definitely, yeah.
So let's move on to the next question. If someone wishes to pursue dubbing as a profession, is there a particular advice you'd like to give as on how to start in this profession or anything like that?
So when you do that, just start dubbing. When you start dubbing, I think even though you're alone in that room and you have a script in front of you and the video is playing, like try to give your best performance. You know what you would like to see in a trailer or in that movie clip. Start with that. I think before even stepping into any industry, you should be good at it. You can't just randomly step into and expect that, you know, people will like what you're doing. Yeah, kuch ho jayega. It never happens. So that would be my advice, to start at home. And one advantage I would also give, if you learn dubbing somewhere, when you learn dubbing somewhere, the place that you've learned at, they will, I think 80% to 85%, they will give you leads to go work somewhere. Or if they're a production house in itself, they'll call you. Sometimes in the industry, what happens is the voice is what matters. Sometimes there's a certain voice texture that people look for. Yeah. Sometimes what rolls the most is like a deep, dense voice that usually goes for voiceovers for advertisements and for characters like Thanos and stuff like that. Otherwise, for young characters, if you're a good performer, there's nothing like it. And one thing that the person should know when they are dubbing at home is they should be clear. They should be in the moment when they're saying the lines. They shouldn't fake it, because when you fake it, then you're just doing it like what 60% of the people might be doing in the industry. When you genuinely feel what you're saying, you stand out. Your performance stands out, you can see it, you can hear it. So I would say clarity, stay in the moment when you're saying the lines. Have an approach to each line. When I do my dubs, I have the script in front of me. First, I read the Hindi line. Usually, when my take is done, the recordist is gonna sync the line in place. After that, what I do is I find my next line. I read my Hindi line, whatever was written. Then I listen to the English line. I have a pencil in my hand, and wherever there's a pause, I mark the pause. If there's one, I don't. If there's too many pauses, I mark each pause. I listen to the dialogue. The Hindi line is in my mind. I do the take. If that's not how the person wants to go about, because I think this happens with experience. What you need to start with is maybe with a rough take. When you have to when you have marked your pauses, and when you think you're ready, do a rough take. That sometimes studios are alright with that. Do a rough take, and then if you're happy with what you're doing, do a fair take. And there's nothing more to it. When you have a take, you have a take, unless you delete your take.
So we've seen on your social media that you have many other talents, some to stage, singing and theatre. So do you have any plans of pursuing them professionally?
I have been singing professionally as well. Not as much as dubbing. But I've sung for a lot of VOs, I've sung for some animated series, I've sung for advertisements. And along with that, last year, I started doing theatre. I graduated from acting school, and directly after that, I went and auditioned for a play. And I got selected for that. And very luckily, it's a musical play. So it's an English musical play, and I'm narrating it. So I'm acting and singing in it. And I'm very, very fortunate to get a gig like that at quite literally the starting of my acting career. I'm very
That's
fortunate.
a great start for you.
Yeah, it is genuinely. So theatre I have been doing since last year, and there are some aspects of theatre that would be like, so there's ways to go about in theatre as well. There's characters in theatre and etc. etc. So when I was in acting school, we did a play called Spring Awakening. And so there's 3 main characters who go about with the story: Melchior, Moritz and Wendla. And I had auditioned for Moritz. The director had made us audition for each character. And I had got Moritz. So for going about with that theatre character, that character was really like his family was completely disoriented. His father didn't talk to him, his mother didn't talk to him, and he was a really sad child. And the whole point was he was going to kill himself in the play at a point. So last year I understood the amount of research to do on a complex character, like a genuinely complex character, because 2 years back, I would say I was stupid enough to think that acting is completely external, which is, it's not. Acting is completely internal. And this is what I learned in acting school. So to go about into the subconscious, into the mindset of Moritz, it was a completely different journey that I don't think I ever had experienced before. Yeah. And the director helped us a lot with it. He did a lot of acting technique methods with us. And I got into that character eventually. And the play that I'm doing right now is like a very goofy, happy narrator. Like, he's music. The character is music. So he's very out there, etc., etc. So going about that character is also, a different way, a different technique, etc. So I think with theatre, what I got is a shitload of confidence, because it's like, and that especially happened last year in November, because my character is so open. He's friends with everybody, he's friends with the audience. And if I sacrifice confidence, I am sacrificing my character. And if I sacrifice my character, then I'm not a good actor. And I can't afford to be like that. So I think theatre has taught me a lot. And upon that, when after 14 years of training music as well, vocals,
So you trained for 14 years.
I've trained Hindustani classical and Western for 14 years.
Great.
So when I had to sing on stage as well, and when that came out, that was also a completely different feeling, I would say. And the people loved it. So that's theatre and music for me as of now.
That's really cool. Now that you've mentioned your extensive singing career, I'm sure our viewers would love to hear a few lines from you. So please.
I'll sing Lal Ishq.
Let's sing this song.
तुझे संग बैर लगाया ऐसा तुझे संग बैर लगाया ऐसा रहा ना मैं फिर अपने जैसा हो रहा ना मैं फिर अपने जैसा तेरा नाम इश्क मेरा नाम इश्क तेरा नाम इश्क मेरा नाम इश्क तेरा नाम इश्क मेरा नाम इश्क तेरा नाम मेरा नाम इश्क ये लाल इश्क ये मलाल इश्क ये ऐब इश्क ये बैर इश्क इश्क इश्क
That is really beautiful.
Thank you.
You have a so good voice and it's so soulful. Like you can feel it in the room right now.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, that's really nice, Sparsh. It was really good to do this with you, and I hope our viewers loved this interview. And thank you for taking out your time. And we really wish you all the very best for your
Thank you
future
so much.
interviews. That's it for today's video. I hope you guys love this video. Please keep following Film Crew, subscribe and like the